Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. And it's great to be back with the triumvirate right here. I, of course, am your host, Mark Williams, who I clicked the thing instead of clicking my...
No. Now your audio is messed up. You muted yourself.
How did I mute myself? I barely touched this thing. Whatever. I'm joined by the non-muted Mr. John Volkowski.
I think Anthony's question before we went on air, asking Mark if he and Fred Flintstone were the same person, is actually an appropriate question to ask at this point, because I have no other words for Mark. I really don't. I'm at a loss right now. So,
oh, thanks. Just pile it on there, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, this
match news, Mr. Anthony Larocco.
Well, I mean, really, the only difference between Fred Flintstone and Mark Williams is Mark Williams doesn't have like a million get-rich-quick schemes like every day. But other than that, they're, the same lovable type of buffoon character. But it's all out of love. But it's very similar. Very similar.
Don't do that while I have a drink in my mouth, because I don't feel like spitting up all over my laptop.
Much more than just a buffoon. But, there's just because there's a few mistakes. I got some good points. Or I don't know how to spin this at the moment.
Few, quote unquote.
Yeah, let's just go right on to the A block, everybody, where we're going to be doing something different today. Anthony has been working on this the last couple of weeks. You've seen us doing these on Instagram, but we're going to be talking about best hockey teams we could build from players in different states and different provinces. And of course, the A block, sponsored by SeatGeek. Use the promo code Big Apple Hockey for $20 off your first order. And of course, Big Apple Hockey trucker hats and shirts are available. I'm going to be giving away some probably next week. We're going to do our fan appreciation week yet again, coming soon. But so let's look at these NHL teams by regions. And the first one Anthony suggested was New York versus Michigan. Anthony, why'd you suggest these two teams? Is that because the most points scored in NHL history are from these two states? Well, from the U.S., I mean. You know what I mean.
I didn't really hear anything you said there, because I don't know if it's probably my end, but you broke up a lot. So I didn't hear.
Well, why'd you suggest this matchup first? Did you know that these U.S.-born players, number one is Michigan, number two is New York, out of the two states for production?
I mean, I just there's really four major states that a lot of players are from. New York, Michigan, Minnesota, and Massachusetts. So I just kind of just randomly picked two to pair against each other. So really, honestly, it didn't go much further than that. There was no specifics when I made the matchup.
Still brilliant, Anthony. Still brilliant. All right. Yeah. So this was the Michigan matchup for. Actually, we'll do Team New York right here. Now we borrowed. I gotta get rid of the ticker for this one. We borrowed Jonathan Quick from New York. From Connecticut. I mean, for Keith Kincaid. But you can look at those lineups that are right there. If you're listening to audio, you can check it out on our Instagram. And Team Michigan right here, that's a formidable lineup. Connor Hellebuck in net. So, boys,
Mark, go back to Team New York for a second.
You got it.
There's a spelling error with Kincaid. It's a K, not a C.
Yeah,
with Keith Kincaid.
Yeah, well, he hasn't played an NHL game in a while, so.
Well, I mean, we touched on this briefly. I think Team Michigan. I hate to say it, but I think Team Michigan would beat that New York lineup. I mean, I like New York, some of their forward lines there, but the goaltending, Quick Kincaid, isn't as good as what Michigan would be able to throw out there. So I think Michigan overall would take it.
Phil, what do you think? Michigan or New York?
You're asking me for the purpose of what? One game, a series?
7-game series.
No, it's a series. Yeah, series.
Yeah, that's all right. That's been said all over our Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a series and it's a short series, I think I could go with Team New York just because the goaltending it's I think you could get that out of quick. We're not talking about a full season, so I think you could get that out of quick. But I do like the makeup of New York's team outside of the net better than Michigan. So I would go New York in this instance if it's only a series.
All right. And you know what, guys? I think I would have to go. Let me just flash that again. I mean, if you look at it for a series, Connor Hellebuyck has not performed that great in the playoffs. And I really don't like Team Michigan's defense.
No.
But you know something? I think I'd lean towards Team Michigan. I think even though I like the top 6 of Team New York a little bit better.
I don't like Michigan's bottom 6 at all.
Yeah, their bottom 6 is
go back to New York's team again. I just want to see. Okay. So their bottom 6 is Farabee, Drury, Sonny Milano. That's decent with Nick Foligno, Kevin LeBanc, and Miles Wood. That's not a terrible bottom 6. I still think it's better than Detroit's. I mean, New York, Michigan's. And then I definitely like the top 6 forwards better in New York and the defense.
I'll tell you what would change my opinion on Team New York. Splitting up McAvoy and Fox. I think if you do that, then your defense is a little bit longer. You get a stud defenseman on the ice, basically 2/3 of the game, and that would probably change my opinion because Team Michigan, their blue line, not nearly as good.
No.
All right.
Yeah, flash Michigan on there again.
Yeah, one more time for you, Anthony. Flash of Michigan. They got.
Yeah, so
if you
look at that.
Wow.
If you look at that third line, I mean, Nazar obviously has a lot of potential, and then Dakota Joshua was a solid player, but their fourth line, I mean, it's
barely NHL guys.
They don't really have overall a great bottom 6, and even their defense, you know, Krug is kind of, I feel like he's on his way down a little bit. Obviously, we all know about Trouba. You know, Werenski is their best defenseman. Other than that, I mean, Roy and Chatfield are decent. They're not bad, but I think the defense isn't as good as New York's. But if you look at the Michigan again, though, you have a couple of 40-goal scorers in that lineup, and Kyle Connor, Alex DeBrincat. So they certainly could put the puck in the net. And that's why with Quick Kincaid, I gave obviously the clear edge with Hellebuyck is in goal, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, well, and again, Quick has just not been Quick has been great in the playoffs. However, Hellebuyck hasn't been himself when it comes to playoff series, and that's what kind of gives me pause about the Olympics.
This is actually a really good question from Up in the Blues. What U.S.-born coach by region would lead these guys? And if I'm going by region, there's only one man, and he's actually coaching in New York right now.
Yeah,
Laviolette.
That's Laviolette.
Are there any head coaches that are from New York? I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not sure. I
know
idea.
It's a bit of a tough sell, but I know John Cooper went to college here. He didn't.
I was about to say I'm pretty sure he's Canadian.
No, he is Canadian, but still. Laviolette would coach Massachusetts. Tortorella would also be in Massachusetts.
Yeah. Dan Bilesma, I feel like he's probably Massachusetts too.
He is Michigan.
Michigan. Oh, so there you go. There you go. There's Michigan's coach, Dan Bilesma.
Yeah.
Oh, and let me see if we got
Mike
this guy.
Sullivan is Michigan. He's Marshfield, Massachusetts.
Also, maybe Mike Sullivan. Yeah.
Mike Sullivan, who also coached in New York.
I was hoping for Ron Wilson, but he's Canadian, actually. I did not know that.
Wait, no. Ron Wilson?
Ron Wilson. They got Ron Wilson born in Windsor, Ontario. He coached has dual citizenship.
Ron Wilson coached internationally for the U.S.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. So
What do you got for the next matchup, Mark?
all right, next matchup. Let's go to Minnesota. We're going to get some Minnesotas, and there we go. Let's get that one out of the way. You look at the top line, featuring two Islanders and Brock Besser, Brock Nelson and Anders Lee. I'm just gonna let you guys read it. Brock Faber leads the defense. So oh yeah, I saw something about David Quinn in our chat, so
Dave asked where Quinn was from, and I was like, you have to ask where Quinn is from with that accent?
With that accent, jeez.
You know exactly where he's from with that accent. Your cousin from Boston.
And Phil, let's go to Team Massachusetts. Look at that top line. Jack Eichel, Chris Kreider, Frank Vetrano, John Carlson, Noah Hannafin lead the defense. Joey Decord in nets. So I have to ask you and start with this one, Phil. Who wins between Massachusetts and Minnesota?
You're asking me first?
Yeah.
Go back to, I want to see the teams again. I'm sorry. That was
all right. There we go. No worries.
So that's Minnesota, Lee, Nelson, Besser. Oof, Wheeler on a second line. That's not good.
And Opozo.
Yeah, that's really not good at all. I would probably move Okposo down a line or two to move up Brink. And I would probably put Travis Boyd on that second line over Blake Wheeler as well. But then again, if you put Wheeler, Bukestad, and Okposo together, that's got to be one of the slower lines in the tournament. So I don't know if you want to really do that. I do like their defense. Faber and McDonough is a solid pair. McDonough can still defend at a very high level. Lindgren is a warrior, as we know, but gets hurt a lot. Nick Leddy's a smooth skater, but doesn't have a whole lot left in a tank. And then Justin Falk, I mean, he's really more of a power play specialist at this point. And Keandre Miller is up and down, but he's a left side defenseman. He's not a right side guy, Keandre Miller. So, and then go to the Minnesota.
Jake Ottinger and Charlie Lindgren.
Yeah, I love Ottinger net. That's great. Go to the other team.
Team Massachusetts. Look at that second unit.
That's actually a solid lineup up and down. Their center core is probably the best I've seen so far between Eichel, Beniers, Coyle, and Hayes. I like their wingers, especially the top 9 wingers are a real good unit. VC, Hayes, and Blackwell, 3 former Rangers on your fourth line. Okay, it's not a terrible fourth line. Carlson and Hannafin is a good pairing. Marino, Grzelcyk, it's not bad either. And then Jordan Harris and Henry Thrun. It's not a bad unit, but their goaltending is so bad. You know what? Honestly, I honestly think this team is more than good enough to beat Minnesota, even with Joey Decord in net. I'm going Massachusetts there.
Anthony, what do you think? Anthony froze again.
I think he froze.
Yeah, I doubt he's trying to decide on this one. So we'll figure that out in 1 second. Here's the Massachusetts leaders for career scoring. John Carlson, 6-7. Oh, we got Anthony back. Okay, Anthony, who wins this?
I kind of connection lost there, but I think Phil was leaning towards Massachusetts. Is that correct?
Yeah.
He said Massachusetts.
Yeah, so I agree with that too. The only thing with Massachusetts is, Minnesota's goaltending with Ottinger and Lindgren is a lot better than Joey Decord. But overall, I think Massachusetts has a way more solid lineup up and down. So I'm in agreement there with Massachusetts. And then also with Minnesota, even though they're the state of hockey, team like guys like Wheeler and Oposo may be retired. They haven't officially announced their retirement. So, but they might not even be there because they could be retired. So I think for sure Massachusetts has so much more depth, as evident by me putting, Wheeler and Oposo on the second line. So I think Massachusetts wins this in a 7-game series. Only hiccup could be if Joey Decord really drops the ball. Then I do think Minnesota has somewhat enough firepower to beat them overall. But Massachusetts is the winner for me.
Am I the only one that thinks a little bit better of Joey Decord? I thought he turned in a very solid season last year, and maybe he's a goaltender
small
on the
sample
rise.
size, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a backup. I mean, he's going against Jake Ottinger. That's really the issue. It's like he's going to go against one of the 5 or so best goalies in the league right now. Do you have confidence in him in a 7-game series to be able to do that? But with the disparity in teams in front, I think he can hold up.
Yes, by the way, his record 19, 18, and 11 last year. But he did have a 2.46 goals against and a 916 save percentage. I think actually
team corrected Anthony. No ball. They play with a puck.
I think actually Team Massachusetts has the firepower to get through this. And I think we just lost Anthony again for
I think his connection is just gone.
Yeah, and and it was just getting good again. Like just when I'm doing the editing and I'm doing the zooms, sometimes he's a little bit pixelated.
Yeah, we just lost him for a second. He'll be back though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go right to here for us and isolate right here. Oh, we got him right back right away. So let's get that right in because we got to go to the next matchup. This is a good one that Anthony had slated because let's go north of the border and let's go Alberta versus Saskatchewan, which was fun to spell all week. So Alberta, we're gonna clear out of here. Let's get to Team Alberta, and you got Taylor Hall, Braden Point. William Nylander is on there because he was born in Alberta. And we got that note to mention. Of course, Makar and Morrissey, 2 of the best defensemen in the NHL. They'd be a pair. And in that, you'd have Logan Thompson or Stuart Skinner. So, guys, and then you have Team Saskatchewan. And not exactly going to blow your doors off, but I think they play a very scrappy game right here. Brendan Hagel, probably the sexiest name on there, and the Shen brothers, of course. So, Anthony, who wins this matchup?
I think it's Alberta, hands down. You look at that bottom 6 of Saskatchewan. I mean, Cole Linds, Connor Zary, and Reese Johnson. I mean, Reese Johnson, right? And then Adam Beckman, Rook Chartier, the Senators center, and then Rhett Gardner. So it's like that's basically AHL level stuff for their bottom 2 lines. Darcy Kemper, Connor Ingram's not a bad goaltending duo.
Oh, you spelled Darcy Kemper wrong.
Yeah, you did, Mark.
Oh, Jesus. It's not even close either.
It's UER.
You know what the worst part is? I copy and pasted.
Klemperer.
Klemper? Is that what it came out as?
Klemperer.
All I did was I copy and pasted, and man!
Hey,
I sent those to get proofread today. The man on the bottom screwed that one up.
Well, I missed your typo.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
But you're the one that spelt it wrong off the bat.
But you're the one that missed the mistake.
You guys are both terrible.
I missed it. Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how you missed one that badly.
Yeah.
I think I was so focused on
Saskatchewan, so I couldn't have caught that. That's why I only just caught it now. I mean, flash Alberta up there again, so you could see that after looking at Saskatchewan for a while.
Okay, yeah, there's Alberta.
Yes, I mean you could just look at that lineup. It's so much better up and down.
Taylor Hall, Braden Point, and William Nylander up front. And yes, William Nylander is born in Alberta. He's born in Calgary while his father was playing for the Flames. So that's why he appears on this, even though he does represent Sweden internationally. Yeah. Then you have Jake DeBrusk, Kirby Dach, Dylan Gunther. And then you have Jake Neighbors, Ridley Grieg, and then Brendan Gallagher, Dylan Holloway, who, funny enough, we're going to talk about him in a little bit, Sam Steele and Bobby McMahon. And then you have probably the best pairing, or arguably the best pairing in the entire tournament with Makar and Morrissey. But then your defense is a little questionable after that. So Spurgeon and Parayko's an okay pairing, depending on what you think of Parayko. And then Soucy and and Carson Soucy and Caden Gooley are not a bad pairing by any means, but it's definitely a clear drop off from that first pairing. So yeah, Alberta's going to win that one handily.
Has a question for you guys. Is it a 4-game sweep?
Oh yeah, I
think it's a 4-game sweep.
Yeah, I agree there.
Because Saskatchewan, you look at them, Eberle, you got I think that's Braden Shen and Jaden Schwartz. That's right there. I think this would be the biggest blowout in this little sequence that we got going. So let's go to a more competitive matchup. And I think this one would be pretty interesting. We're going to go to Team Quebec, and you can take a look at this one with Jonathan Huberdeau, not Justin, PLD, Jonathan Marchessault, Anthony Duclair, Philip Deneau, Alexei Lafreniere, Anthony Mantha, Jonathan Drouin, Anthony Beauvillier, Carrier, Roy, and Veleno. It's Roy, not Waugh for him, right?
No, that's Nick Waugh.
Yeah, that's Nick Waugh.
Yeah, and then that's Joe Veleno on.
You're thinking of Matt Roy, the defenseman.
Yeah, Matt Roy is.
He's the defenseman that's on LA. Letang and Shabbat, Matheson and Gerard.
I think he's
Savard
on
and Vlasic
now.
Yeah, and Marc, but you know what? They're a little bit long in the tooth and unestablished in that. You got Marc-Andre Fleury and Sam Montembeault. Although I like Montembeault, and obviously Fleury can still do it. How about Team British Columbia? I mean,
this is a good matchup. I like this matchup.
Yeah, you got Reinhardt, Ken Johnson, and Ben as their top line. Anthony's got them slated. Matt Barzell, Connor Bedard, and Stankoven for the second line. That's a good second line. You got R&H on the third line. You got a guy that scored 100 points on your third line. And Evander Kane, of course. And then looking at their defense, Morgan Riley, Devon Taves. See, guys, I said it right. Bowen Byram, Shea Theodore, Dylan and Barry on the third unit. Their goaltending, they're kind of in the same boat a little bit as Quebec. But so, guys, go ahead. Phil, I'll turn this one over to you. Who do you think
should comes up again, Mark?
Which one? Quebec?
Let me see the teams again.
Okay, here we go.
That's a really good roster. I think their defense is a little too offensive-minded on the top two pairings. And Savard and Vlasic, I mean, you could say what you want about Mark Edward Vlasic. He would probably be – we'd probably go under less scrutiny if he wasn't making as much money against the cap as he was. But he's still an NHL defenseman. The flashy other team.
Okay, yeah. British Columbia right here.
Yeah. I'm probably going to have to go British Columbia. It's not a blow-up by any means, but I think that British Columbia's depth is just that much better than Quebec's. I think their defense is better overall, and the goaltending you could go either way with, really. I'm going Team BC on this one.
Anthony, who do you think?
Yeah, it's close, but I think I'm going to go BC too. I mean, you just have there's really good players on Quebec. You know, Huberdeau, Marchessault, Lafreniere, but I mean on that BC unit, I mean you have Connor Bedard, who's obviously incredible. You know, Sam Reinhart, Matt Barzell. You know, Logan Stankoven looks like he's going to be one hell of a player.
He's going to be.
You know, Devon Taves. I just think they're stronger. They're strong up and down, but that would be a close one. I think that would go six games or so.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just think that there's a higher level of star power on BC, and I just think the top end talent there would shine more. Plus, I think really they have a decisive edge on defense. Like I said, I think there's just too many puck movers on Quebec, and while that helps you, I mean, it also hurts you because that top four is kind of suspect defensively when you look at it. So.
Yeah. And also comes down to Fleury versus Aiden Hill in goal. I mean, which one would stand up taller?
Yeah.
Could Aiden Hill stay healthy? That would be one thing. You know, I gotta say it's probably going 6. And if we had to go with Fleury's experience, maybe that would help. But I would have to give it to BC. I think they could do it in 6 games. And I just wouldn't count on any of their goalies making a big save. Well, Aiden Hill, yeah, he's got a Stanley Cup, but I mean, he just never seems to be healthy. And when Tristan Jarry lets in a weak goal, that deflates everybody. So that's to be honest. But you know who would be the happiest person in the world? Jonathan Huberdeau, because he's not playing with the Flames and probably playing with a roster that's actually going to use him right.
That's true.
So, I mean, but so let's go with this one, guys. Here's a bit of a fun one because if we did like this is like a tournament style of thing, I think this would be the 2nd seed in the entire thing. The rest of the U.S. team, as the way Anthony called it, you have both Kachucks on there, Jason Robinson, Austin Matthews, Jack Hughes, and Quinn Hughes for that matter, Cole Caulfield, Tage Thompson. This is a stacked team. This is absolutely scary. When you look at the bottom, it's Logan Cooley, Vincent Trocheck, and JT Miller as your 4th line. And then you look at the defense, you got Pionk and Chikrin as your bottom pairing, but you still got Sanderson and Luke Hughes, who we'll talk about a lot in this show, Quinn Hughes and Jacob Slavin. And then look at that goaltending, John Gibson, Joseph Wall, and Jeremy Swayman. Guys, how could anybody compete with that? Well, we could go to Team Ontario. And then you got McDavid on the first line. And I don't understand why my Apple Music just started, guys. So pardon me on that one. McDavid on the first line with Marner and Hyman. So a bit of the Toronto Maple Leafs again. Johnston, Stamkos, and Konechny, Verhaeghe, Horvat, and Tavares. Giroux, Scheifele, and Duchesne. Yes, up in the Blues. You were right about that one. We've come a long way.
Yeah, come a long, long way. Yeah.
And you look at that defense: Pietrangelo and Doughty, Ekblad, Hamilton, Montour, Bouchard, but their goaltending. Now there you go. I think that might be their Achilles heel. Guys, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it outright because of the goaltending. Rest of the U.S. wins. Phil, why don't you take the next one?
Go back to the teams. I want to see the teams again.
All right. Take a look at some of the scoring.
I love how this is basically the 2016 World Cup of Hockey Europe version of the USA outside of the 4 major states that everyone comes from. You've got just wow. That is a stacked lineup. Oh man. And then the defense is decent. I like what I see there. Jeremy Swayman and John Gibson in goal. I like that too. Joseph Wall's not going to beat the other 2 out. I get why you listed him, but he's not beating the other 2 out. And then go to the Ontario. Yeah, just wow. How do you? That Ontario roster is just stupid. I feel like that's like the all those guys. I bet you at one point or another, maybe outside of Claude Giroux, have probably played for that Markham Waxers team that has produced so many NHL players. That, but yeah, I gotta go with Ontario actually.
Oh,
know what? I don't think the goaltending difference is enough to offset that type of talent. And it's not nothing against the USA, but if you look at Ontario's defense is probably better than the rest of USA's defense. So I don't think the goaltending difference is enough to really overturn things there.
Anthony, who do you got?
Yeah, this one was my favorite one. they're both. I mean, both those lineups are all-star lineups, star-studded players, Hall of Fame players, some of the best young players in the game. But I get what Phil's saying about the goaltending, but for me, I still think Jeremy Swayman is significantly better than Binnington. That's why I lean more towards the rest of the U.S. But I mean, hell, I mean that really could go either way. It really could.
I'd take John Gibson over both of those goalies too. While we're at it, I mean, I understand Cam Talbot has been reliable as a part-time goalie for the most part in his career, but I mean, Jordan Binnington, he won the Stanley Cup and then just fell off a cliff.
Possession is everything, though, and that's really the thing, especially in a tournament like this. Possession is everything, and when you have, I mean, you could even split. Go back to the Ontario roster again.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. Both these teams have guys that scored 100 points.
You could put Wyatt Johnston on this line with McDavid and Hyman, and split Marner and McDavid up, and he could play with Johnston and Hyman, and that line could still be insane. Or you could put McDavid with Konechny and Johnston, and put Hyman with Stamkos and Marner, and those lines would all be, and it's possession. And with a guy like Marner on one line, a guy like McDavid on the other, like, are you really getting the puck at all? Like that's the issue for me. Because I think those lines could keep the puck away from just about anybody they play against in that tournament.
Well, all right. Now, by the way, I phrased this question. Who would win this tournament, especially if we did the seeding a little bit differently? Like, obviously, these would be the top two seeds, probably Ontario 1, USA 2. This is probably the finals, though. I mean, who are we kidding? I would say, would you say Saskatchewan would be the lowest seed?
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably the weakest roster I've seen.
Yeah.
Maybe Saskatchewan. Would Minnesota be the weakest of the Americans?
Yeah, I think so. Out of the American squads, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then New York or Minnesota?
Sorry, like really, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the tough part. But I mean, so we'd see Ontario winning it all, or the rest of the U.S. winning it all.
That's really the question. Yes. That's the two teams that everyone would look at in this thing, and I gotta go Ontario for some reason. I have a lot of trouble seeing other teams handle that lineup. That forward lineup is insane, and their defense is really good on top of it. So, I mean, let's just put it this way. If Darcy Kemper, not the Klemperer, as we're not going to call him from now on.
Well, yeah.
Darcy Kemper can win a Stanley Cup and have a sub 900 save percentage in a Stanley Cup final series, then I think Jordan Binnington can probably help this team win this tournament.
All right. Anthony, do you see any upsets at all?
Upsets at all. I mean, I wouldn't call it an upset because they were really good, but in that BC Quebec matchup, I could see a scenario where Quebec possibly could beat BC in a series.
I'm going to go with one underrated matchup on this, even though I think Alberta, when we were talking about them before, that maybe that their goaltending was just not really up to snuff. It's Logan Thompson and Stuart Skinner. But when you put a defense of Makar and Morrissey on there, and you can either keep them together or split them up. You keep them together, maybe you shut down McDavid, and maybe Ontario gets upset because they're weak goaltending. But that's what I can look for. I'm fishing, guys. I'm fishing for something. I think Ontario could blow the doors off everybody except that rest of that U.S. at large team, as we said before.
I mean, if you that Ontario lineup, you're talking Bo Horvat and Mark Scheifele, their bottom six centers. I mean, that's quite ridiculous to me.
And Dylan Holloway, who we're going to be talking about a lot, was on the fourth line.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's segue to that. Edmonton does not match St. Louis's offer sheets to RFAs Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg. Phil, what does this mean for the Oilers, the Blues, and possibly the NHL?
Well, what it means for the Oilers and the Blues is that St. Louis better make sure that Jake Neighbors never hits the point where he can be offered an offer sheet, because that's going to be their target. That's going to be their target. And I'll call it right now. It may not happen for a while just because Jake Neighbors is not really at that point yet. But telling you right now, if he hits offer sheet eligibility status, they will throw one at him as revenge.
I think so.
And we saw it with Carolina and Montreal and the whole Sebastian Aho debacle that actually ended up kind of helping out both teams in a very weird way. Carolina ended up getting Aho at a steal of a deal. Then Kotkaniemi, actually Carolina helped Montreal solve their Kotkaniemi issue, because if Kotkaniemi never got offer sheeted, maybe he's still in Montreal. Montreal's still trying to give him a chance to become the player that they took with the 3rd overall pick. The Carolina made that decision so much easier for them to just pass on that match and that offer sheet. It was a dumb one. So they kind of helped each other out in a very weird, backwards kind of way. So, but yeah, that's going to happen. I'm telling you, that's going to happen. Watch out for it.
Anthony, what do you think about this? Is this going to make a barrage of more offer sheets?
Yeah, I think you might see more in the next little while here. I think Armstrong and his comments could have opened other general managers' eyes about it is a useful tool and it should be used. And he kind of dismissed it being a whole unwritten rule, and made the reference of if his mother was managing the Oilers, he still would have done it. In regard to people saying that if Ken Holland was still a general manager, he wouldn't have done it. He saw an opportunity to get 2 players that they clearly identified that he felt would be good for their team. And listen, the whole purpose of an offer sheet isn't nice in nature. You target a team, you look at their cap situation, and you say to yourself, okay, well, I don't think these guys are going to be able to match this if we happen to do this. And that's exactly what happened, and they were successful in it. So, I do think you could see more in the future. But it was just so rare to see, one team offer sheet 2 players on the same team. I mean, as it is, offer sheets to begin with are rare. The fact that you saw 2 of them, both Edmonton Oil players, was certainly eyebrow raising. But good on the Blues to get 2 players that they wanted, and didn't really have to get. And at the end of the day, they gave up a 2nd and a 3rd for him. So, and now the Oilers, think about what the Oilers did now, right? So not only did they lose Philip Broberg, but they also traded Cody Ceci. So they lost 2 defensemen, and yeah, they did get Ty Emerson in the trade with San Jose. But I mean, I think no question they got weaker defensively, and I think they downgraded from Holloway to Podzolkin. So, yes, thank you. So yeah, the Oilers did the best they could given the situation and their cap situation with how much space they had. But I think it was certainly a win for the Blues.
I have to wonder about the offer sheets, and obviously one story that went through this was that there was animosity towards Stan Bowman, who just took the job, and they wouldn't have done this. Ken Holland was there. I don't know. I think Armstrong would have done this no matter what after his comments. But through the history of RFAs, guys, it seems like there's always a retaliation, and that's why I think Phil's kind of right about this. I know everybody's joking when I put up the post last week about how the Oilers are going to look at Jake Neighbors, but now that's a real thing. And we're going to talk more about Philip Broberg in our Bar Talk segment, but I would actually, I don't know if I'd like to, I don't want to say the words I'd like to see more RFAs, since the New York Rangers have Alexei Lafreniere that's due to be an RFA soon enough. But I think with RFAs, you have to make it uncomfortable for the team that has the player in the short term where they have to go, all right, either we're getting rid of someone else or we're going to have to let the player go. So that's just,
I mean, it's a leverage system. It's funny because the last time I think of a team that didn't retaliate after being offer sheeted a player, I could think back to two teams. I could think back to when Philly offer sheeted Shea Weber.
That was the one I was going to think of.
Yeah, Nashville didn't retaliate. And then, funny enough, Philly's also the team in the other one, but they offer sheeted Ryan Kessler.
I remember that. Yeah,
right at the end of the 2005 lockout, they offer sheeted him before that 2005-2006 season started, and that there wasn't retaliation for that one. The last time we saw retaliation was here with Aho and Kakaniemi. So
yeah, and I think before that there was Backus being offer sheeted by Vancouver.
Yeah,
and I forgot who the guys.
Edmonton and Thomas Vanek in Buffalo. Forgot about that one.
Yeah,
because Edmonton did it. Edmonton went and did it for Penner, who Anaheim didn't match, and did it for Vanek, and Buffalo matched on Vanek.
Yeah. And Phil, one more for you, just a little bit of a footnote because it's a story, not a big story. Benoit Allaire is not going to be handling the day-to-day operations. Jeff Malcolm will be named the new goaltending coach. Brendan Burke, by the way, who is the son of Sean Burke, not the Islanders play-by-play commentator, named the goaltending coach in Hartford. So first off, good for Brendan Burke coming up, learning the trade that his father is actually an up-and-coming, if not well-respected already, goaltending coach.
Goaltending coach, yeah. Very respected already.
But you're talking about the Islanders had Mitch Korn for years when Barry Trotz was there, and now he's the director. He became the director of goaltending. Now he's off in Nashville again. And Allaire stepping back. Phil, just a quick word on Benoit Allaire.
I made a couple like a tweet thread about it, and just somebody who the fans absolutely love and respect. I mean, every opening night, Benoit Allaire, out of all the coaching staff outside of the head coach, probably gets the biggest pop, like of anyone that gets announced. So the fans love Benoit Allaire. He's been with the organization for about 20 years. I mean, he's well respected, arguably the greatest goaltending coach ever. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. There's not a whole lot more I could really say about that. It's going to be a big loss for this organization for him not being there on a day-to-day basis. But I imagine that he will still be with the organization in some capacity to be there for Jeff Malcolm and Brendan Burke to both lean on if they ever. And not that Brendan Burke doesn't have somebody that he can lean on for help if he ever needs it. But it's a big loss for the Rangers. And you know what, Benny, thank you. You deserve to go out on your own terms. You've done a hell of a job. Congrats on a great career, man. We love you.
Well, because one reason why is I've made the comment for years, the real New York Rangers goaltending tandem. First, it was Henrik Lundqvist and Benoit Allaire. So I'm pretty sure Benoit Allaire could take one of us three and get a 900 save percentage out of us. Yeah. That's how good of a coach he is. But yeah. Anthony, like I said, Mitch Korn is the director of goaltending. He wasn't the goaltending coach like he was in, say, Washington and Nashville for the Islanders. But the Islanders improved greatly under him, and he was there for them to lean on. So Ranger fans should pretty much not be on a ledge about this, right?
No.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. Mitch Korn, while he was the director of goaltending for the Islanders, same thing. He wasn't there day to day, but he still had a heavy influence in the Islanders goaltenders. So, I think, clearly you want a guy like Allaire or Korn as the goaltending coach, where you're physically there in the day to day. But I feel like even with Allaire as the director of goaltending, I still think his presence is going to be felt.
All right.
One other thing I'll say before we move on is that you have to imagine that in a situation like this, that Benoit Allaire had a huge hand in picking these guys to succeed him. So I would imagine that Benoit Allaire has left this team in some pretty good hands and will still be around.
And that's all good news. But we're going to be talking more around the NHL in our Bar Talk segment. But first, a message from DraftKings.
Shot. This is the easiest I've ever to answer.
I'm going to say beer. I can't even begin to describe.
I'm actually going to go crazy. I'm going to buy everybody around on this one. I never started a Mark Messed Up with a segment, but Mark messed up because I was supposed to play the DraftKings video. So we'll do that later, guys. We'll do that at the end of. We'll do that at the end of Bar Talk. So.
All right, Fred.
Oh boy, boys. Hey, at least I'm willing to fall on the sword. So, and I could admit my mistakes. I'm no politician. Guys, welcome back to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. We're engaging our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you still confident that you're flying around? So have a beer. Oh God, I need a shot. Fun fact, guys, I'm on the wagon. I have not had a drink since last week. So I had like 2 shots for Saturday night. So I've been enjoying Heineken Zero lately. So.
You just said you hadn't had one since last week, and then you said 2 shots.
Yeah, I said, 2 shots Saturday night. That's still last week.
Oh my God.
First off,
but I'm on the wagon. I'm on the wagon now.
Not having a drink in that many days, you can't say you're on the wagon. That's just simply
called. Any idea? Do you have any idea how much a bartender that also golfs?
Yeah,
how
but
much he drinks?
Well,
I'm doing it until the first week of September because after all, me and the missus were doing a little bit of a health kick, a little bit of a cleanse. So, guys, let me flash 2 things out at you. One, Max Pacioretty, who is do you look at his numbers last year? Not really that impressive. And then you got James Van Riemsdyk, who had 11 goals, 38 points. Both of them are available to sign right now. Philk, the Rangers need to add a veteran forward on a PTO.
I'm leaning towards shot, but I don't know if I want to fully say shot here. I mean, maybe one of these guys can help, but I'm gonna go beer just because I can't definitively say shot, just because I think they need to give some of their younger kids more of a chance this year and see what they have in them. Could I see them adding one of these two on a PTO if they come real cheap? I mean, they added Blake Wheeler last year, but that was on the first day of free agency. So they went out and they got him as a bargain. We all thought that was going to be a steal. Lo and behold, we didn't see that drop off coming. But yeah, I think they need to kind of go in a different direction and add more speed and youth to this team. So I'm going to say beer.
And Anthony, now you go to beer because you didn't go. I thought you had said shot before. So
no, I told you. I said I was leaning towards shot, but
my bad on that. Anthony, I did have to change it a little bit because I forgot to edit the headline. I still had a veteran defenseman. It was the one we did the other day with Alex Jeffries. So Anthony, do they need to go get Patches or JVR?
I'm gonna go beer. I mean, my hesitation with it is, they signed Wheeler last year, and he didn't really work out at all. And I feel like JVR Pacioretty is the similar thing, getting an older veteran who really doesn't have much left. I mean, JVR did have you just flashed it, close to 40 points,
11 goals.
Yeah, he could still be a power play guy on Unit 2, and so I would say JVR more than Pacioretty, but none of them are going to be needle movers. They would just maybe create competition, maybe push some of the younger guys harder. So I'll go beer.
I'm gonna go shot on this, guys. I would, your natural tendency is to go. These guys have been great for so long. Patches, I'm not sure what he's got left after those 2 Achilles tendon injuries. 4 goals last year in Washington, not exactly lighting the world on fire. Great player when he was fully healthy, but I think those days are gone. And I know the feeling, JVR, if you think about power play too, Rangers have enough trouble trying to get guys on the power play. So, I gotta go against that. No, I think not these guys. Maybe a Jaden Schwartz or somebody like that. I don't know. I gotta look at the available players list again.
I will say this about JVR.
Jaden Schwartz isn't a free agent.
Oh, he wasn't? Oh, who
No.
was it? It wasn't Jaden Schwartz. That's why I said I got to look at the list again.
You're thinking of Justin Schultz, but he's a defenseman.
Justin Schultz, that's it. Yeah. Yeah. And I wasn't a big Justin Schultz fan in his prime anyway.
How do you mix them up?
Schwartz.
Oh, my God. Wow. But
Phil, you had one last word on this?
Yeah, I was going to say JVR is great. The good thing about him is the fact that he had 26 of his 38 points at even strength, and he only played just over 13 minutes of ice time. That's not bad. Yeah, he signed in Nashville.
Yeah, he signed in Nashville, unfortunately. Now, that would be
that's either a troll post or.
Well, you know what? Yeah, either way, welcome to the show, Keith. Moving on, guys. Hey, quick question for you, Anthony. Who was the first player that was acquired by the Las Vegas Golden Knights?
I mean, I don't know if he was the first one, if they signed him before the expansion draft that year, but Vladimir Shipachyov.
Yeah, it's Vadim. But yeah, Shipachyov. He was the number 1 player that they signed. It was before the expansion draft. You're right about that one. 76 points his final season in the KHL. In the NHL, not so much translated. Then you have Andrei Kuzmenko, 53 points his final year in the KHL. He translated and had a better first season, 74 points in Vancouver 2 years ago. And Maxim Siplikov, you look at him, 47 points last year. What does the future hold for him? I'll ask you this, Anthony. Siplikov is closer to Kuzmenko than he is to Shipachyov.
This is tough because he's a little bit of a wild card right now. Obviously, we haven't seen him play at the NHL level, and then again, neither did the Canucks with Kuzmenko before he played his first game, etc. I mean, I don't know. I will say this: I am pretty confident he's not going to be a total bust like Shipachyov was. So right off the bat, I lean closer to Kuzmenko. Now, I'm not saying he's going to score 39 goals because I don't think he is, but I also don't think he's only going to play 3 games and go back to Russia. So I'm going to say beer. I was encouraged with my discussions with Shane Prince, his teammate in Spartak in Russia. Said that he's suited for an NHL game. He's a power forward. He works hard. And obviously the 31 goals in the KHL was impressive, being that not a lot of guys score a ton of goals in that league. So, but again, it's a wild card. I just don't think he's going to be a total bust like Jan Kovar or Shipachyov. So I'll say right now. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I would say like if he plays with Palmieri and Nelson on the second line, I think 40 points is a reasonable expectation. I mean, if he goes higher and becomes a Kuzmenko, I mean, that would be the icing on the cake. But I think realistic, I would say, 40 points is something that, he could put up in his first year. But again, we'll see when he takes the ice in training camp how he performs.
Phil?
I don't like this question at all. I think it's completely unfair. I just think we're talking about all these different players, and then bringing up Gusev, which is another example of a player that dominated in the KHL, actually dominated almost more than anyone we've seen in recent memory in the KHL, maybe outside of like Alexei Morozov or Alexander Radulov in the KHL for that matter. But this is someone who's put up massive numbers in Gusev, and he came over, had 44 points in his first season, and then was a complete non-factor after that and left 2 years later. So I'm going to say beer, just because I really don't. I think we're trying to make a comparison here, and we're really doing like an apples to oranges type thing. So Siplikov plays a completely different game from players like Shipachyov, Gusev, Kuzmenko, guys who are more dynamic forwards. Shipachyov is more of a complementary player that can play well and score some goals in the dirtier areas with good talent around him on his line. I think if he's insulated in the right situation, you could get 20, 20, 40 out of him, like Anthony is saying, maybe. But it really, one, it depends on the ice time that he gets at even strength. And two, is he a real good net front presence on a power play? If he ends up being like that and he ends up, kind of sliding into maybe a Chris Kreider type role, you never know with a player like that. He's got good size. He's not a bad skater for his size by any means, but he's not a burner either from what I've seen. I think he could be a nice middle six forward at the very least. I'm not going to peg him for 40 points. I think considering the players that have come over from the KHL and the varied success that they've had, I think that's unfair to him. So I will say that I'm gonna leave it at a beer because Kuzmenko also had an unreal shooting percentage in his first year. Like he was shooting, I think, at over a 20% clip in his first year, and that's why his numbers fell off this year. So if I'm correct, it was 21. Oh no, it was way higher than that. Boy, was I wrong. 27.3%, which led the NHL in his rookie year. Like I don't think we've seen anybody shoot at that percentage, maybe outside of Wayne Gretzky in their first year. So, yeah, that's a big rookie year. I think it's a beer here. I think he's going to be his own player. I don't know what exactly.
Yeah. Also, I know what the question means because it's comparing some of the KHL guys that came here and didn't work out, and Shipachyov. This is an easy pickings. It's a round because all he has to do is score more than one goal, and he's better than Shipachyov. However, for the purpose of the question, and just what we're saying, because Phil, I kind of agree with you. Kind of picking blind on this one. It's comparing apples to oranges to pears. It's three different things. We're going to find that out. So I'm going to go with beer on this one. I think Shipachyov. I think Siplikov was brought over here to play. I don't think he's going to get the treatment that Anthony. I forgot the kid's name.
Who?
The Russian kid on the Islanders the last two seasons. He was in Bridgeport. Had that really nice.
Ishnikov?
Yeah. I don't think he's going to get the Ishnikov treatment. I think he's here to play. And I think the Islanders are going to give him the chance. One thing we talk about, Anthony, I think they might want to put Siplikov up there with Barzal and Horvat, because if Barzal is the burner on that line, maybe they might want to use his size, and maybe him and Horvat work together that way. I'm just spitballing on that one. I mean, if not that, he's getting second line duty. I don't think he's getting that much lower. So that is for certain.
No, I think he's going to start on that second line. I think they're going to put Duclair on that top line to start. I think he gets the first crack at it. I would be surprised if they added Siplikov on that line right off the bat.
We'll see how training camp works out.
Yeah, I'm with Anthony on that, because they tried to put Lee with Barzal and it just did not work. There was a clash of styles. Barzal definitely needs players that could play off the rush with him a bit. And I don't know if I see that from Siplikov.
All right. Well, like I said, I'm kind of flying blind a little bit on this one. However, one kind of shocker this week came down Monday. The Canadiens acquired Patrick Laine and a second-round pick for Jordan Harris Laine since 2020, 66 goals. Philk, Patrick Laine will score 35 plus goals for the Habs this year.
Kind of go beer. For me, I feel like he's rounded his game off a little more over the years to become a little more of a playmaker, because earlier on his playmaking lacked a little bit, and I think his playmaking is a little underrated. I just think that it's tough to expect him to score 35 goals, even though there is talent around him. He's not going to be the number one goal scoring option, though, because you have Cole Caulfield there, Nick Suzuki's there, Uri Slavkovsky. I mean, but he's got young talent around him to help him score. So I will say that looking at him in the recent training videos I've seen, it looks like he's lost a little weight. So I think he's probably got a new focus. A change of scenery will probably help him. And if it doesn't help him, his next contract is not going to be nearly what he's looking for. So this has got to be a big year for him. So I understand why you're posing it this way, but I'm going to say beer. Could it happen? Sure. Will it? I'm not totally positive.
Anthony?
Well, I mean, I think he's going to be motivated, obviously. You know, he only played 18 games last year. He was dealing with his personal issues. He was hurt. We saw his off-season training. Clearly, I think he's taking it very seriously. Looks to be in good shape physically and mentally. Fresh start in a place where I would assume he wants to be. So all that kind of points in the direction of having having a comeback season where he performs to the level that he did earlier in his career. But it does depend on who he plays with. Is he going to play with Suzuki on the top line? That would clearly help. So yeah, I think beer here. I mean, I don't think anything's a guarantee. Like I said, he's missed so much time. You know, we don't know what he's going to be like when he gets back on the ice, but he certainly has the ability to do so if if given the right opportunity. I mean, he was asked after the trade, he was like, you want to get back to being a 30 goal scorer, and he's like no, I want to get back to being a 40 or 50 goal scorer. So he's certainly motivated, and a healthy Laine who's a man on a mission. I mean, that could be a scary thing.
I'm going to try to tread about as lightly in my comments as I can, guys. I'm going to go shot. And good for him.
Tread lightly, says shot.
Yeah. Well, because of course, look, I don't want to talk too much smack about somebody that actually went through the assistance program. He admitted he needed help. He got help. I'm happy for him. I'm concerned whether or not, and all these videos are all great, guys, but I'm concerned he's going to be a January 2nd workout enthusiast after, my New Year's resolution is to get in better shape. Oh, I did that day. The hell with this. Like he's got to be focused on hockey. I'm not sure if he actually loves hockey. I think he just likes it. That's about it. Maybe that's just his job, because it's just, especially in the latter years in Winnipeg and the years in Columbus. Granted, the years in Columbus had a lot of personal problems. We've talked about some of the more difficult organizations to play with, or cities. I forget which one you say it is, Phil. Was it the organizations, or was it the cities, or both that made it difficult to play there? Now,
so, I mean, from what I remember, there was that article in The Athletic that came out a couple of years back or so, and it was a bunch of anonymous players that were granted anonymity, and they all just did not have the best things to say about the front office, the team, and the city. And it wasn't a good look for Columbus. So, I mean, two guys like him and Dubois, both wanting out of places like that. I mean, you gotta. Is it them, or when do we finally start looking and taking a deeper dive into these two teams and cities?
Well, I can answer that. We talked about that last year. There's a culture problem in Columbus, and However, I'm on as far as line A goes. You know what? I need to see more out of him before I could start saying 35 goals again. I'm not sure if he's ever going to be the player people thought he was going to be. I remember like 6 years ago, we were making predictions he was gonna win the Rocket. I don't know if he's ever gonna like pass Capo Caco. So it's being a little bit extreme.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think I think the Rangers would kill. The Rangers would kill if Laine turned if Capo Caco turned into present day Patrick Laine at this point.
But now he's going to Montreal. I mean, the microscope of hockey. I mean, I hope he's motivated because he better keep the motivation on the ice or he's going to hear it from the fans. Let's go back to Philip Broberg, guys. Career 81 games, 2 goals, 11 assists, 13 points, -5 rating, and now he just got a big-time pay raise with St. Louis. Anthony, Philip Broberg will break out in St. Louis.
I'm gonna go Beer. He did have a really good playoff, so I think if he could kind of build on that, and you got to mind you, he's still very young, so he could continue to develop. And now that maybe he had a good playoff, he's more confident. He's got a fresh start. Remember, he wanted out of Edmonton, and now he is on a new team. So similar to Laine, I think that can motivate him. So I was almost tempted to go Round, but I'm still gonna go Beer. But I did like how he played in the playoffs, and I think that he certainly has the ability to keep furthering his development and become a better player. So I'll stick with the Beer.
Phil.
I'm gonna go Beer. I just think I could see it happening just because there's the pedigree. I mean, I know he's kind of one of the more polarizing picks from a polarizing first round, but there's still potential there. There's some skill. You can see that he's just a phenomenal skater. And then he's going to be in an environment where there's not as much pressure to win and not as much of a microscope on him as there is in Edmonton. So maybe the fresh start does help, but I can't say for sure. I mean, I hope he does well. I do. I honestly hope he does well. But I mean, the time frame, are we talking about this upcoming year? Are we talking about 2 years from now? Are we talking about 3 years from now? Or is this going to? Are you talking
and even
about
defining breakout is what's going to be tough? Because I mean, you're talking about a guy with 13 career points. And it's not
are you talking about him breaking out this year, or that's really what I need answered here?
I'll say that it's he takes the next step in his development. Like he's, let's say, 20-point defenseman this year.
Okay, I'll go Round then, because I think he's capable of putting up 20 points this year. They have guys that are really like power play guys right now, like Krug and stuff like that, but I could see him coming along and trying to force his way into a power play. I'd imagine St. Louis would probably want someone that could walk the line there and maybe put Parayko back into more of a defensive role and have him play penalty kill and even strength and divvy out their defense that way. Justin Falk, I forgot about him. He's still there, I believe, too. I mean, he's another power play guy with a booming shot, so that may be tough, but I could see 20 points out of Broberg. That's not too much to ask.
I'm going to go Beer on this. I think he does take the next step, and I thought he showed a lot of promise. I think it might take a little time. It depends on who's going to get paired with. He's a guy that I think I'm not sure if he got exactly the fair shot. He did play 46 games 2 years ago. But I think it's going to work out eventually for both teams of this. But even though because Edmonton's they're in win now mode. So they didn't have time to try to bring him along. But he did play really well in the playoffs when they called upon him. And I think he might be pretty good for them. But I just don't know about breaking out. One guy that did break out a long time ago was Mitch Marner, guys. 26 goals, 59 assists, 85 points, and he only did that in 69 games. This is a contract year. Mr. Larocco, Mitch Marner will hit 100 points for the first time in his career.
I'm gonna go round. I think he does. I think he, it's in a contract year. I certainly think players are motivated to have the best year they can to really cash in once they reach free agency. And this is a guy that, let's face it, I mean, he's had 99 points before, so he basically did it. So saying he's going to get 100 is not a stretch by any means. He's very talented. He's gonna get the minutes. He's gonna play, obviously, prime power play minutes. So yeah, I think this is around for me. I'd be surprised if he fails to do it this year.
Phil?
Depends on how. That's the biggest thing. I think if he stays healthy, he can definitely do it. He's been very close before. I think he had like 99 points a couple years back or so.
Yeah.
You only live once. Round. Hey, you know what? Just round. Something tells me that we're probably going to, like you said, contract year. You're going to get the best version of this player. He's obviously looking for a new deal. He wants to show Toronto that they're making a big mistake by not making him a priority. So that's going to be another thing that I think that'll factor into it. Because we just lost Anthony there. We'll probably be back in a second. But
back in a second. That's why I'm just going to leave the cameras on right now.
Yeah, we'll have him back in literally like a minute. But I kind of agree with Anthony's line of thought. It's a contract year, and there he is. But he's a guy who is one of the better defensive wingers in the league too, and a guy that could be that good defensively on the wing and score anywhere from 90 to 100 points is going to be highly valued. So I think if he puts that up over 100 points, I wonder if he could end up being the first winger in NHL history to score 100 points and win the Selke in the same year. He'd only be the third player in NHL history to do it if he did.
Mm-hmm.
But if he was the first winger, that would be something special. And you know what? In Toronto, they're well covered. The media loves their Toronto area superstars. So he might end up getting some legitimate votes. I mean, I know Sasha Barkov and centers win it because inherently centers are they're tasked with more defensive responsibilities. But remember a guy named Jari Lehtinen and how he never once scored over 60 points, and he won the Selke 3 times in his career as a winger, which is the most of any winger ever. Why is there Fred Flintstone on it? Why did you do that, Anthony? Why did you have
to tell people to subscribe anymore?
Why did you have to do that to me? Oh my God! In the middle of me talking, you thought that I wasn't going to notice that?
Yeah.
Oh man! But yeah, Jari Lehtinen was one of the greatest defensive forwards ever, and is the only winger to win the Selke more than once. Maybe Mitch Marner becomes the second ever winger to win multiple Selkes, and maybe he becomes the third ever player to score 100 points and win a Selke in the same year. So who knows?
All right. I'm gonna go beer. I was tempted to buy round 2, Phil, and one reason why is because I just wonder whether or not Berube is gonna rein in the Maple Leafs a little bit. Now, the question is with that is would it affect him offensively? He's already a good defensive player, so I don't think that's going to be the case. So let's just move on to the next one. And guys, let's go right to Luke Hughes. 9 goals, 38 assists, 47 points last season in his rookie year. You know what, guys? I'm going to start this one first. Luke Hughes will be a 50-point defenseman this year. I'm going to buy around on it, guys. Even though I think most of his playing time came because Dougie Hamilton went down, but I do think he's going to have a little bit reduced pressure on him, especially he'll probably be playing with Brett Pesce. I just don't know if he's going to have that power play time. We'll see about that one. Phil, let's go to you next.
I'll say beer. That's really the question for me is how much does Hamilton stay healthy? And two, if he does, how much is that cutting into his power play time? That's really what I want to know. I think in terms of defensemen, puck moving defensemen and the way that they skate, Luke Hughes is one of the better skating defensemen in the league. And 47 points is a very impressive rookie year. I'm not surprised at all by the offense there. But it's really comes down to personnel. Does Hamilton stay healthy? And if he does, how much is that cut into it? Because does New Jersey want to run 4 forwards and a defenseman, or do they want to run 3 forwards and 2D at the points? So it depends on their configuration and what their setup is, really.
Anthony?
Screw it. I'm going to go round again. 47 points last year as a rookie. I think he can get 3 more points this year and eclipse 50. Although there is something to be said for Dougie Hamilton possibly taking away power play time from him. Can't dismiss that. But at the end of the day, I just think Hughes is too talented of a player. He's going to get his minutes. He's going to get his looks. And I think he's going to be a big part of the Devils' offense from the back end. So. I'll stick with
something to keep in mind. 25 of his 47 points came on a power play.
No.
Yeah, that is. And keep in mind that because, like we said before, he got most of that because Dougie Hamilton went down. Guys, going to flash this graphic at you. It's the same one that I used last year. And we're also going to show you Phil's memory on NHL Cover Boys. But here is everybody that's been on NHL, the EA NHL, whatever the numbers you want to use, 2497, throughout the years. It's been a little bit of a mini curse, not exactly the Madden curse, but the Hughes brothers are going to be on the cover of NHL 25. Anthony, is there an EA NHL cover curse?
No, I'm gonna go shot. Nowhere near to the level of a Madden curse, but Cale Makar was on the cover of NHL and anything happened to him? No. I no. I don't think so. I think the 3 of them will be just fine.
Especially Jack, hopefully. Phil, what do you think?
Shot. Van Beesbrook was the first solo one back in 97. Forsberg was the guy back in 98. I think it was second in league scoring behind Yager in 97, 98. And then Gretzky was third. 99 was Lindros, and he had a 40-goal, 90-point season in only 70 games that year. 2000, NHL 2000 was Pronger, and he won the Norris and the Hart in the same year, becoming only the second defenseman in NHL history to do it. 2001 was Nolan. He didn't have the greatest year, but there are other guys I can think of, like Stamkos. He was on the cover for 2012, and he ended up having a 60-goal season that year. There are some guys that have completely, went above and beyond the expectations. Some people will even point to Alexander Ovechkin and how the fact that he was on cover of NHL 07 and how he had a sophomore slump compared to his 52-goal, 106-point rookie season when he had 46 goals and 90-something points. Yeah, we would kill for that to be a sophomore slump. So, no, this is an absolute shot.
Yeah, I gotta go shot on this one too, guys. Guys might have down years. We're going to go with down years. They don't have crippling injuries like they've had in the Madden cover curse.
I was about to say, you want to talk the Madden cover? Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, no. The NHL, they've actually the players have done fine. They've responded well for this. Yeah, you look at some of these things in here, like teams have missed the playoffs and such. Like, just flash this real quick. Flyers missed the playoffs when Giroux was there. So what? Devils missed the playoffs. That was Bredore's last year.
Yeah, you're going by your. Here, go put that back up again.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're going by team.
Yeah,
and that's not how you do it. So
yeah, I mean, well, look at NHL 10. Patrick Kane won the Stanley Cup that year.
Won the Stanley Cup. Lightning missed the playoff again. Go back. Lightning missed the playoffs in the 2012 season, but Stamkos had 60 goals. I mean, I just don't understand how we can go by team success and individual. But
also, I mean, losing round one isn't necessarily. It's not a curse. It's not like it's that just it happens. So that's.
Danny Heatley was an unfortunate one because of what happened with him and Dan Snyder, rest in peace, and everything that happened, and the fact that he ended up playing, I think, 10 games that year or something like that due to the knee injury that he sustained in that car accident. But, that's. But Danny Heatley then, when the lockout ended, he had back-to-back 50-goal, 100-point seasons in Ottawa.
Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot more that comes with it. And yes, I think it's a player that usually does have that. But also, I got to go with what Dave's saying right here. I think the Hughes brothers basically just said it's all three of us or none of us, and that's why all three of them are on there. It's a little bit early to put Luke Hughes on there.
I don't think it's dumb. I mean, how often in hockey do you have three siblings that are all in the NHL that are all elite pretty much too? I mean, Luke Hughes is probably going to be there, but still, how often you have three brothers that are all three that good players and American on top of it? I mean,
that's another thing. You want to grow hockey in America? Why not show that three brothers can play the same sport? That's probably the fourth most popular of the four major sports, and that could make it there. And then they, two of them can play together. Like, to me, I don't think this is a bad thing at all. I really don't.
I don't think it's such a bad thing. I do think it's a little bit like, could have went with Nate McKinnon. You could have went with David Pastrnak.
Okay, he's been in a league for a cup of coffee. He had a 47-point rookie season.
Yeah. And by the way, Anthony, just to say something about
that came along and had a 47-point rookie season like that.
Just to say something about three brothers that were of really good to not really elite quality, but there were three brothers named the Stalls that were in the NHL. So
I mean, the one guy you could think of would be Makar. He had 50 points in 57 games in 2019-20. But again, look at how good Makar has been. I'm not saying Luke Hughes is going to become Cal Makar, but that's the type of company you're talking about, even though Makar's was a lot closer to a point per game than Luke Hughes was. But when you don't see many rookie 40-point defensemen that come along like that.
I mean, that comment would be would hold more water if it was just Luke Hughes on the cover, but it's his brother. It's because all three of them are on it. So I would agree. I would agree with him if it was just Luke Hughes. But the point of it is to have all three brothers on it. What are they going to have Quinn and Jack on and leave Luke off just because he was only in the league 1 year? I mean, then there would be no point in doing it at all. So I guess no issue.
Fox and Makar had 40 points as rookies. Fox had 42, Makar had 50. I mean, listen, I'm not sitting here and saying that Luke Hughes is, like Anthony said, deserves to be on there alone. But, I mean, I get what they're doing with this, and I don't think it's a bad idea. I really don't. I like the fact that they're going with American-born cover athletes here because they need to grow this game in America. Like, Canada is never going to have problems, but they need to grow the game in America.
I mean, they're doing a good job of it so far. As you're getting now top overall picks from almost every single state, as we've covered in the different regions. There's a lot of good ones right now. You guys,
the 2025 first
James
overall
Higgins.
pick is going to be from Long Island.
Yeah, James
So
Higgins.
that's incredible.
yeah,
And you know who he's going to be playing with, right?
Cole
College?
Eiserman.
No. He's going to be playing with Gabe Perreault in college this year.
very nice.
That's big for both of those guys. I mean, you have a top 10 prospect probably in hockey right now in Perreault. And now you're going to have everybody's considering him basically the consensus number one from what I've seen. I don't see many publications that say otherwise. But and by the way, we are working on trying to get him on. So hopefully before he's drafted, I will hopefully try to be able to get him. I have a friend that can possibly make this work. So
yeah, I'm still working on a couple guys as well.
Stay tuned for that.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for listening to Big Apple Hockey's Bar Talk. We gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice to drink. Now we're going to have a message from DraftKings, and then we're going to pick 3 random NHL players. I got them all listed, and these guys are going to tell me who they are. Let's go. Hockey fans light the lamp this winter with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. If that wasn't enough excitement, you can turn small bets into bigger payouts with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets like which team will win, how many goals will be scored, and more for your shot at an even bigger payout. Download the DraftKings Sports app now. Use promo code THPN. Bet $5 on any NHL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. All right, guys. I got a couple players. This is a game I started doing with Anthony last week. Phil, he did have trouble seeing the players. So if there's any trouble, I'll text you the guys. So we're going to play a little name this player. I got some guys that are listed from hockey reference and their careers. Let's start with this one. At some point, all these players play for either the Rangers or the Islanders. This one started his career in San Jose, went to Colorado, then to Carolina, to Florida for a short cup of coffee, to the Mighty Ducks for 2 years, and then after the lockout, went to the New York Rangers, but finished his career with San Jose. Phil, who's this guy?
That's Sandy Zozelinch.
That is correct. Sandis Zozelinch is the first player. So now we got the second one. Let me get to there. Gotta get more of these, or make it easier for me to get this on there. But I like to scroll up and reveal the guy. All right, guys. Here's a player. He started his career with the Boston Bruins, and then went to Pittsburgh, then to the New York Islanders for 3 seasons.
I know exactly who this is.
Brian Smolinski.
Yep.
Brian Smolinski.
Yep.
Wow, you got that way too easy.
Yeah, I knew exactly who it was right away.
Yeah, Brian Smolinski. I didn't even get a chance to say he went to the LA Kings. And he had pretty good seasons with the LA Kings, 20 goals, 27 goals. Anthony, just really quick about this. When Smolinski was an Islander in that 97 season, when it was him, Reichel, and Palffy, it was the 97 season. They almost made the playoffs with that lineup, and they were electric. I thought they were on the cusp of being one of the better lines of the NHL.
That's correct.
Palffy back 40-goal point per game seasons, including a 90-point season in there. I think in 96, I think it was a 90-point year.
Is Palffy one of the most underrated players in the league now, looking back at it, guys?
Of the last 20 to 30 years. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've always said that I've liked 3 Islanders over my lifetime while they've played for the team.
Okay, who are they?
Zygmunt Palffy is one of them. Pat LaFontaine because LaFontaine's one of my all-time favorites, and Pierre Turgeon. Because even though those guys killed the Rangers when they played the Rangers, they were just flat-out awesome players.
For me, I would probably go Pierre Turgeon because I felt sorry for him after the Dale Hunter hit.
Yeah.
Adrian Aucoin, because I just loved the way he played. And I always liked Anders Lee.
You know what? And it was Holt that dangled Adrian Aucoin, right?
Who was it that did it?
Greg, our buddy Greg Holt. I think Anthony.
Yeah, I think so.
Story. They were playing, I think, somewhere in Men's League, I think, on the island years ago, and Greg actually pulled a nice move on him. And Greg played D1 for Quinnipiac. He was their captain in his final year. He was really, really good. We all thought he would make the NHL one day.
Anthony, by the way, are there 3 Rangers that you could think of that you always liked when they were on the team?
Sergei Nenchinov, Alexander Kapatsev, and Dale Purinton.
Yeah, you hated Dale Purinton. I know that's a lie. I know that's a lie because I've had that discussion.
It is a lie, yeah.
All right, guys. Here's the last one. The first 2 are pretty easy. You guys were able to get this really good. I'm going to have to step my game up next week. But here we go. Here's the last guy. Played for the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, or the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, then the Winnipeg Jets, the Phoenix Coyotes. So they were the same organization. Back to Anaheim for 3 more years. To the New Jersey Devils, where he
I know
won
what this
the
is.
Stanley Cup.
I already know it. Oleg Tverdovsky.
Oleg Tverdovsky is the answer. So ding, 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 ding. So, guys, like I said, I'm going to have to step my game up on that one. And I kind of like it. I like this game, but, I'm going to have to do a little bit better for you.
The Yankees do this on their broadcasts on Yes. They do name that Yankee, and they give you the teams, the amount of games he played, and certain stats and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. I like that.
Trent Hunter, I always kind of liked a little bit.
I remember.
I remember him being really good when he first came up. He was a Calder finalist, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And
he scored like 25 goals, I think.
Yeah. He had he had over 50 points, and he had like almost 30 goals.
Yeah, he actually came up in the series against Toronto in 102. That's when he made his debut, and then he became a regular after that.
Anthony, was that game 5 when he came up? Because I was there.
I think it was. Yeah, and he wore a different number too. Then he wore like
43. He wore 43.
40, yeah.
I was right. He was a Calder finalist that year.
Yeah, he had a great game. I think he even scored in that game, game 5.
Does anybody remember who won the Calder that year in 03-04?
03-04?
Is that David Abisher?
No, David Abisher was not a rookie.
Oh, sorry. Wait, Andrew Raycroft, I meant?
Yes.
Okay.
Andrew Raycroft. Yeah. And they ended up sending him to Toronto for the best trade they probably made in a while for Tuukka Rask. Oh man. Because they thought that oh my God. I can't believe Toronto thought that dealing Tuukka Rask was a good idea for Andrew Raycroft.
And what was the one I was about to mention on this? Oh, but that game that I was at, the game 5 that we were talking about, that was the Kenny Johnson hit game, and as well as the
that was such a dirty hit. That was one of the dirtier hits I've ever seen. Yeah. Gary Roberts just absolutely walloped him from behind, sent him into the boards face first, and you just knew Kenny Johnson was in a real bad state after that hit. I've always said, I've gone on record that hit was worse than the Darcy Tucker hit on Pekka.
I agree.
And the only reason why it gets talked about more is because of the controversy that happened beforehand, where the Canadian fans booed the American anthem. Michael Pekka said something about that and said it was completely disrespectful, which he was right about. And then Darcy Tucker said that I'll shut him up and take him out in the media, and then did it the very next game.
Yeah. I remember when I saw the Gary Roberts charge, and he did
He
get a
left
major
his feet, charged, hit him
Yeah.
from behind, and sent him into the boards head first.
Yep.
It's one of the dirtiest hits I've ever seen in my life.
I
It
said,
was.
"Uh-oh," my friend Steve looked at me with a what, and that's when it happened. So I saw that one coming from a mile
Terrible.
away. Guys, we're gonna
That
do
right there is part of why we have CTE discussions in hockey. But you know what? I don't want to be thankful that happened, because you never want to see that happen to somebody like that. But without hits like that, we may never have had the discussion about CTE that we have today.
Guys, let's do a very quick Puckdoku. Let's try for our lowest score.
Do
But
the it's a new
you want to do the pyramid?
Monday. They do new pyramids every week. Yeah, do the pyramid. It's more challenging.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, geez.
We got 1,000 games played in their career.
All right. Well,
And this
again,
has
you
got
want
to be somebody that's got to end up being a 300, or is that 200 or 300?
Well, but the first
leg.
one doesn't matter though. The first one doesn't matter. It just has to be a guy that played 1,000 games, because it's the first one.
Ooh,
Sean O'Donnell.
it's got to be
that's a great
someone.
one.
Sean O'Donnell's a good one.
1,200 games. Yeah. let's
Sean
go.
McEachran hit 2,000.
We might need Sean
No,
McEachran for
9/11.
the next one. So
Sean O'Donnell.
Sean
sure it's
O'Donnell
gonna
right
be.
there. Because 200 goals scored. Phil, did Sean McEachran hit that?
Sean McEachran does hit that.
All right. So 200 goals scored
And
and
1,000 games.
and 1,000
no,
games.
no.
Phil,
Yeah, it needs
So
to
this
be
has got to
1,000.
be 200 goals and 1,000 games.
yeah. Because I was going to say we might need to hold on to McEachran because the Pittsburgh Penguins are up top.
What about Kyle Oposo just reached 1,000 games this season? I'm pretty sure he has 200 goals.
I am very sure that you're right, and both are correct. So we'll go with Kyle Oposo right here.
Yeah, I would there.
Should still be. Is it still 0?
Oh.
Yeah, unique is still 0.
Oh.
Okay, good.
Anthony, we should have moved on. Drafted in the first round.
Oh, yeah, we could have used We could have used Oposo for that 1,000 games, 200 in the first round.
So it's got to be somebody who's got 1,000 games,
200 goals.
200 goals, and drafted in the first round. Ooh.
Does Josh Bailey didn't have 200 goals, right?
I
Josh
don't
Bailey's
think
got that
so.
cleared by a lot.
What?
I think Josh Bailey's got 200 goals.
No,
I mean, he's
184. Jesus, really?
I think Scott Young might have done it. Yeah, Scott Young.
Scott Young?
Scott Young's got over 300 goals. Hold on. It's first round, right? Yeah, Scott Young. Yeah,
first round.
Yeah, he was in 11th.
And 1,000 games?
Yeah.
Scott Young.
All right. There you go.
So now we have to do all of this with
And plus 100 career playoff games.
Oh shit! Oh god!
All right. Well, we know Josh Bailey doesn't have the 200 goals, so he
would
can't.
Pat Verbeek have played 100 playoff games?
I think so.
I would
Verbeek's
imagine
got the
so
goals.
because-
Got the first round. Verbeek has played 117 playoff games.
No, but he's not a first rounder.
He is a third rounder.
Damn it.
How about Kirk Muller?
Kirk Muller, yeah. I would have the playoff games is really the question. I think so because the Montreal run.
127.
Okay, yeah, Kirk Muller.
And Kirk Muller played 45 with Dallas.
Yeah, Kirk Muller, yeah.
Kirk Muller. Okay, 1,000 career assists. Wait, what?
1,000 career assists. This is
All
going
those
to jack
things,
it up.
1,000 career assists. It can't be him. No, never mind. I started typing in Sergei Zubov.
No.
Larry Murphy?
Larry Murphy could be one. I think he hit 1,000 career assists. He was, if not, he was very close. No,
Ryan Murphy
929.
929.
Damn it.
Damn.
The only guys I can think of right off the top of my, or there's Coffee, Lemieux, and Yager. Really. And Francis.
What about Brian Trottier?
Did Trottier hit 1,000 or did he have 900?
I would.
No, he had 901.
901? Really? For
Yeah.
Trottier?
Yeah, Brian Trottier, because he had like 500 goals, dude.
All right. Well, we still got a 0 going, guys.
That's going to end very soon.
Yeah, that's going to end very, very soon, and that's going to go up by quite a bit. There's not a lot of answers here that you can
200
use.
goals, drafted in the first round. And gonna have dinner going soon, guys. So
It's basically like it's one of either Francis, Lemieux, Coffee, or Yager.
all right. Well, Francis
And mind you,
probably be the least.
Let's see what Anthony
he's got
said.
1,000.
What?
Don't focus on the Penguins yet. Francis got it more in spades. So
we need to have 1,000 games, first round, 200 career goals, 100 career playoff games.
well, wait. What about? Could you use Stevie Y in that? He's got 1,000 assists. The team doesn't come into a factor. He's got to have. You got to have 1,000 games played.
Adam Oates,
Benjamin.
Joe Thornton.
Check.
We lost Anthony completely.
Oh. Okay, we lost Anthony. All right.
I don't think LaFleur had 1,000 assists. No,
No, I don't think he was drafted the first round either.
No, he was. He was the first overall pick.
Oh, he was? All right. I thought he
LaFleur,
started playing before the draft started.
Marcel Dion, was he a first rounder? I think he was.
I don't think he's got the
Yeah,
playoff.
he was a second overall pick behind LaFleur in the same draft.
But does he have the playoff games?
Dion, yeah, he's gotta. Dude, he played a lot of playoff games. Oh, no, he doesn't. 49. Damn. I thought he'd have more.
Adam Oates wasn't drafted, so it can't be him. Like I said, Stevie
Roman
Y-
Ellis actually got a good one with Ray Bork.
Ray Bork.
Anthony, you were saying something before you got cut off there.
yeah, my laptop died when I was so I had to bring it inside.
Okay.
Well, no, I was just saying a lot of those guys we have to also save for the last one, which is a Penguin on top of that. So,
Well, that's where I think Ron Francis comes in.
Yeah.
what about Paul Coffey? Could you use Paul Coffey on this one?
You could, yeah. You could use Paul Coffey on this one. And then,
Drafted 6th overall.
yeah, he was a first round pick.
I mean, because there's no one. I mean, I can't really think of anybody else, right? That has all.
That
of
we're
fits this.
trying to save
Adam,
Francis.
I think Adam Oates fits this. Oh, no, Adam Oates was undrafted. That's right.
Yeah, undrafted. Like I said, Stevie Y.
Steve Yzerman.
However, now again, people might be looking at the Penguin. I think Paul Coffey might be your best bet for that. Using that one. And then maybe use Ron Francis here.
Joe Thornton.
Joe Thornton's got 1,000 assists. Oodles of playoff games.
He should definitely have over 100 playoff games.
The only reason why I'm
he should
thinking
have
Stevie
well
Y is how
over.
many people are probably guessing, looking at the top tile.
Yeah, Joe Thornton.
He has 187 playoff games. Yeah.
Does he have 1,000 assists?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely. He broke that. He has 1,109.
All right, so he's got the play. What about the goals? He has 200 goals.
He has 430.
Oh,
How about Patrick Kane?
Patrick Kane definitely fits all of these. Except, hold on, no. 1,000 assists, he might not.
I
Oh,
don't
no,
think
he doesn't
Kane-
have
yeah, I don't think
813.
Kane has 1,000 assists.
He has 1,000 points.
So
Over 1,000.
Thornton meets all that criteria, right?
Yes, Thornton meets all the criteria.
Yeah. Marlowe doesn't. I'm assuming, right?
No, Marlowe's not even close to 1,000. He has like, I think he has barely like 1,200 points.
Yeah.
All right, so what do you guys think here?
You Thornton then, I guess if Thornton meets all those.
Joe Thornton?
You could either do Thornton or Coffee.
Let's use Coffee on the last one because I think some people are going to forget he was a Penguin.
Okay.
Do Thornton.
Okay.
Thornton gives us a 26.
Bumped up to 26, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Coffee.
And this is why I think Paul Coffee is the better one.
31.
Coffee gave us a 5 as the number one thing.
So click view stats and then click the Thornton one with 1,000.
Yeah. Coffee was the lowest one, Sidney Crosby being number 1.
Click Thornton there.
Thornton was the heaviest. Raymond Bourque and Stevie Y. Paul
Romanello said Ray Bourque, and we didn't use him.
Yeah.
Ray, who was the lowest there? Paul Coffey?
Paul Coffey would have been the lowest, but he was also the lowest on the top. So it's not that.
Yeah.
Again, you know what? Good call. I think Anthony said it, and then I was trying to say Stevie Y because everybody's looking the wrong way. A little bit of a sleight of hand.
That one wasn't as bad as last week's.
Last week's was agonizing.
Last week's with the NCAA stuff was really tough.
All right, guys, quick as we can on this one. Let's go. Puckdoku. We got top row.
Ray Shepherd.
That's a good one.
Ray Shepherd or John O'Grodnick is always a good one.
Ray Shepherd.
Red Wings, Sabres, and 2001 to 2009.
Buffalo for Rangers, Randy Moeller.
I was going to go Jason Daw, but I think Randy Moeller is a good one. I always think there's an E in there because that was the old street name I had. And yes, Ray Shepherd on there.
Alexa said a 7-minute timer.
And
7 minutes starting now.
Guys, a Ranger in the 2000s. Go.
Freddie Sjustrom.
There you go.
I love it. He was a pretty good player.
Shootout guy.
Is he
Big shootout
spread?
guy.
Good penalty killer. Okay, Dallas and Red Wings, guys.
Jason Williams.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Jason Williams. All right. Dallas and Buffalo.
Dallas and Buffalo.
I have a
Stu
Dallas
Barnes, but I think he's going to
2001
be too
for
high.
2010. The right square for Dallas.
Yep.
You can go Mike Keane there.
Mike Keane is a good one. Anthony, what do you think?
It's fine.
Okay. Mike Keane, 0.7.
I have
Still in the
two
zeros,
for the bottom for Pittsburgh.
What do you got for Pittsburgh?
So former Ranger goon Steve McKenna for 2001 to 2010. Anybody remembers him? 6'7", 230 pounds.
Yep.
And then for Detroit and Pittsburgh, Tomas Sandstrom.
Yep. I still can't believe the saga that happened with Sandstrom as a Penguin. Because I think Marty McSorley went to the Penguins after the 93 finals with LA, and they dealt Sandstrom to get McSorley back. I think that's
Mark,
the
Buffalo, Dallas, Randy Wood.
Love it better than
Yeah,
Stu
that would be a
Barnes.
very good one.
And Phil, who was Randy Wood? Mike Richter's first penalty shot.
Oh, wow. Yeah, with the Islanders. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Again, this Stu Barnes I could use again. Matthew Barnaby.
You could use Doug Bodger's another one.
Doug Bodger's a real good one, guys.
Um,
Anthony's like the king of like getting these guys just based off their goons.
What?
You like always got the goons or something like that. I'm surprised. Yeah, you've memorized all the goons. I thought that's how you got all those.
Who's a goon?
What? No, just goons in general. That you know where all the goons play.
Oh my god!
Oh,
Yeah, I thought you always did.
that's news to
You have them
me.
on there. Anthony, how are we doing this without our Daily Didick or our constant Crossman? So,
I could tell you why, because I mean, Doug Crossman only out of all these teams, he only played for Detroit, and Didick only played for Dallas. No, they didn't play. That's it. So,
And I don't think Didick played for Dallas in the 2000s. I think he played for the 90s.
Yeah, Buffalo and Pittsburgh.
Buffalo, Pittsburgh. Like I said, Barnaby, Stu Barnes.
I mean, Patrick Aleem comes to mind, but that'll be higher on the
because goalies are a little more. It's easier to recognize a goalie because there's less positions.
Miroslav Shatan would be too high.
Too high. I think that's
way too high. Although, actually, I'm not sure how many people remember him from that cup. There's somebody else. There's somebody else that we're missing. Definitely from. Let's go to their cup years. It's funny. I always refer to their cup years as the early '90s. Not.
Did Stanton or Taglianetti play for? Hold on.
Well, obviously Tom Barrasso, by the way.
That's too obvious. He won the Calder with them and the Vezina. As a rookie, he won the Calder and the Vezina.
Mm-hmm.
First overall pick, too.
Paul Stanton played for them. No. Paul Stanton actually Pittsburgh, Boston for a year, and then the Islanders.
Buffalo.
There's like a guy I'm missing. I know it.
Who are you
Phil
missing?
Bourque didn't play for Buffalo, did he?
Phil Bourque?
No, he didn't. Okay.
No, he didn't.
No, I don't think he did.
See, we're just trying to keep that zero. We already got a plethora of people.
I mean, Tom Fitzgerald never played for Buffalo.
Ooh, I think I have one, and he's actually also a former Ranger too for a little bit. Bob Airy.
You know, I thought Bob Airy, and then I said no.
Why'd you say no?
Because I didn't think he played for Buffalo.
Brian Holzinger would actually be another good one. But
That's
I love
actually
Brian
a really
Holzinger.
good
Let's go
one
with that
too.
one.
But I think that's gonna register more because he was with Buffalo for a long time.
And
I
he
think
did
Bob
win the
Airy
Hobie
would be a
Baker.
better one.
All right, we're going with Airy. Still a zero, boys. Just out of curiosity, let's just view the stats and check if Grant Jennings. All right, that was
Grant Jennings would have been a good one. He was a Ranger too. He was a Ranger for a very brief time in the 80s, I believe.
Taylor Pyatt.
Taylor Pyatt.
Yeah.
Taylor Pyatt.
Yeah. Duh. He was in the fucking Pekka trade.
Yeah, but that was from the Islanders.
But he also played for Pittsburgh. That I knew.
All right.
Yeah,
Brian
and he's a
Holzinger
former Ranger,
would have
too.
given us the zero, boys. Craig Muni, Bob Bugner. I forgot about him.
Craig
Felipe
Muni.
Boucher.
Wow. Former Dallas Star Craig Muni. I'm surprised. Actually, yeah, Craig Muni could have been used for Buffalo Dallas.
Peter Scudra, Randy Cunneyworth, the former Canadians coach.
Wait, Peter Scudra played for Buffalo? Wow, I remember him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I remember him in Pittsburgh. I also remember him on that Saturday Night Live sketch with Ray Romano. Dominic Moore would have been a good one. Jordan Leopold.
Dominic Moore is almost like Mike Sillinger, where you try to count how many teams he didn't play for.
You gotta love it when we talk about. You gotta love it when we talk about guys being too high. And I had Stu Barnes 1.8. You had Patrick Aleem 1.6. Like, nah, it's too high.
Yeah.
Shows you what we're used to right now, guys.
Yeah, Stu Barnes, good one.
All right. Well, guys, I'm gonna remove that, and that's gonna scratch it up for me today. Thanks to right now 63 you guys that are watching. So keep on watching us every single week. I'll get the segments down. There's a new channel that started called Big Apple Hockey Clips. You can always see clips from the streams. I'm going to be putting more of them on that channel. So make sure you subscribe to that. And I'll actually put a banner on that next week. Right now, it's more of just an experiment. So, guys, make sure that you're checking out everything for us. And we're about a month away from training camps. So, how about that, guys?
Yeah. About
Football season starts in a couple, like 2 or 3 weeks, I think, and then 3 weeks, and then training camps will start like a week or two after that.
Yeah.
mid September.
Yeah, Connor Sheary was going to be high, guys. That was definite on there. Jonas Enroth. There's another one that like you forget about him. He was a kind of reliable backup goaltender for a little bit. Nils Lundqvist. Oh my goodness! And everybody, you know what, Anthony, you can hold that one over me and Phil forever. Nils Lundqvist. We thought he was going to be a stud, but
I thought he would be a good defense, and I don't know about a stud, but I thought he was going to be like a good middle pairing puck mover type guy, and never panned out.
Nope, never did.
It certainly happens.
All right, guys. But once again, that's going to wrap it up for us. Take care, everybody. We will see you next week, and hopefully with another bigger show.